So, welcome to 2023, Happy New Year, and in my case, happy birthday. So, if you don't know this already, here's a little bit of trivia for you. My birthday is January the 1st, and I was the first child born in Beckley, West Virginia in 1967. Got my picture and name in the paper with my mom and all that good stuff. I do have a few birthday traditions that I like to do every year. One of them is going on Facebook and liking all the comments that people leave me wishing me a happy birthday. Also, today tends to be the day when you may notice on my bookcase I've got Christmas lights put up, which I put up at the beginning of December, and usually my birthday is the day when I take them down. I do realize that there are other people who have that same tradition about taking their Christmas lights down on their birthday, but their birthdays tend to be August, so... But there is a tradition tied to January the 1st that has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that it's my birthday. January the 1st is when most people begin their New Year's resolutions. Whether it's going on a diet, going to the gym, picking up a new hobby, deciding to start that project that they've been putting off. January 1st is that magical time when everyone decides that, hey, new year, new me. And I have to admit that I've done a few New Year's resolutions myself. Actually, I'm doubly susceptible to that type of thing because not only is it the first of the year, but of course it's my birthday. So to me it seems doubly auspicious. And we tend to do pretty good through January of keeping our New Year's resolutions going, but then February rolls around, that magical time when New Year's resolutions magically disappear. It's that time when the gyms aren't so crowded anymore, or you have that piece of cake that you kept telling yourself you were never going to eat again. Now, there's a lot of advice that's out there about how to keep your New Year's resolutions, and in the past, I've given some advice myself, even though, to be honest, I'm not any better at keeping New Year's resolutions than anybody else. Some people will tell you that you should tell other people about your resolution so that they can keep you honest, and other people will tell you don't tell anybody about your resolutions because they'll praise you for taking it on, and that dopamine hit will be enough for you to go, well, I got my reward, so no point in continuing to do it. But the truth is, there's no real magic in January the 1st, even if it is your birthday. Thinking that there's some special magic to a particular day which is going to allow you to do things that for the rest of the year just seemed impossible to you. To be honest, if you do happen to keep a New Year's resolution, more power to you. But regardless of what the date is, if you want to make a positive change in your life, the only day you can really do it is today. But we really very seldom have huge, major positive changes in our lives. Normally, change happens incrementally, a little bit each day, every day, until we look back and we suddenly are in places we didn't realize we'd been traveling to and had been working toward until we actually get there. In my case, I did decide to make a change in my life, but I decided to start that change back in October. If you watch my Vlogtober vlogs for 2022, you may remember the vlog where I talked about The Artist Way. The Artist Way is a book that breaks down a 12-week program of tasks and assignments and readings that you do that are meant to help you as an artist if you've never created before, to get you on the path to creating. And if you have created before but you're stuck and you haven't done your art in a while, it's supposed to help unstick you. The Artist Way talks a lot about serendipity. And basically that when you decide to make a change in your life and you're working toward that change, sometimes coincidences are just going to crop up that are really helpful to you along your path. And although I'm not really all that superstitious, I do have to admit there were some things that did happen to pop up while I was doing The Artist Way. The fact alone that I started even reading the book was because of a chance occurrence. Now, if you've watched other videos on my channel, you may be aware that sometimes I like to drive up to Columbus, Ohio to watch a movie on IMAX. The trip to Columbus and back from home is usually about 6 hours total. And so very often what I'll do is I'll download an audiobook to listen to on the trip to pass the time. The book I chose to listen to on my drive up and back from Columbus was Julia Cameron's The Artist Way. Now, I didn't really know that much about The Artist Way. I knew it was supposed to be an inspirational book, and as a writer, I really did need some inspiration. Again, if you've seen videos on my channel, you're probably aware that I am a published writer, but back in 2012, I had a heart attack, and after that, my writing career pretty much dried up and went away. And I've tried so many things to get myself back on track when it came to my writing, including going to see a therapist. And I wasn't really that sure how helpful The Artist Way was going to be, but I figured, what the heck, might as well just add that to the pile. But as I started listening to the book, I realized that it wasn't just an inspirational book for artists, but it was an actual 12-week program that was intended to help unstick artists that had stopped creating. And I realized, holy cow, this is exactly the problem that I have right now. So I decided, instead of just passively listening to the book while I drove, that I should really give it my attention and spend 12 weeks going through the entire book as Julia Cameron had intended, to see if it would be able to help me. So I started my 12-week journey the first week of October, and as I was going through it, I did get a little bit curious about how long it was going to take me to get through the 12 weeks. And I started to count up the days, and I realized that the last day of the 12-week program was going to fall on Christmas Eve. Now, I didn't intend for that to happen, but it just happened to work out that way. So, a little bit of serendipity there. Now, one of the things that Cameron teaches in her book is a tool that's been really personally helpful for me, and it's called morning pages. Now, if you don't know what morning pages are, it's when you get up in the morning, first thing you do, before you do anything else, is you sit down, you take out a notebook, and you do 3 full handwritten pages of stream of consciousness. Whatever pops into your mind, you just sit down and write it and get it down on paper, and then you go on with the rest of your day. Now, you may wonder, what good is any of that going to do? And I have to admit, I really wondered the same thing, but as I started doing it, I started to see the value of it. But a part of what morning pages are for is something that you may have heard referred to before as shadow work. Now, shadow work is this idea that there may be parts of your personality or your past or other things that have held you back, but you don't think about them because you just try not to, because they make you uncomfortable or they even frighten you. And the purpose of shadow work is to face these things that you've been suppressing for so long. And although it's a really uncomfortable process, by facing them, you're able to come to a better understanding of why you act in certain ways, and also it can help to facilitate some real healing. And that's what morning pages did for me. Now, one of the things about morning pages that make them effective is that you're not supposed to share your morning pages with anyone. Now, I'm still doing my morning pages, and they are a real help to me. And because I want to continue to do my morning pages and I want them to continue to be effective, I'm not really going to talk about things that I've written in my morning pages. But there is one thing that has come up that I do want to talk about, which is this story that I have been leaning on for so long, this idea that I was on the path of being a writer and an artist, and then in 2012 a heart attack happened and took all of that away from me. It's just a story. I never realized how much I depended on that story to explain away why it was that I wasn't writing. I didn't really want to face all the truth behind the reasons why, even though I had published as a writer, I would suddenly stop doing it and have problems continuing to write. The heart attack was a lot of stress to my life, and it was a contributing factor, but at the end, it wasn't the whole story. It is true that after I had my heart attack, my writing did just grind to a halt. But the heart attack wasn't the sole reason why I stopped writing. And as long as I thought that it was, as long as I thought that all I needed to do to get back to writing was to overcome all the emotions that having the heart attack brought up in me, I was never going to write again. But also, by looking back and being really honest with myself, I realized that not only was this story about my heart attack ending my writing career was a lie, but also this idea that I haven't been creative for 10 years because of my heart attack was a lie. And it was a lie because I have been creative in these last 10 years. I've acted on stage, I've performed, I've done improv comedy, and I've also made YouTube videos like this one. So this idea that in the last 10 years I've wasted my time and I have nothing to show for it, well, that simply isn't true either. And so my problem isn't that I've lost my creativity, because it's always been here. I just need to learn to tap into it again. And that's what Morning Pages and The Artist's Way gave to me. So now we come to the big $24,000 question. Now that I'm done going through The Artist's Way and it's a new year, am I writing again? Because after all, if I'm not, then what was the point of all of this? And I gotta be honest and say that even if I never wrote another story again, the time I spent going through The Artist's Way has been really helpful to me. And everything that I've gotten out of it, I have to say, I'm really thankful for. So, to answer your question, am I writing again? The answer is yes. I am currently working on a short story, and I don't know how good it is, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to get it published or if it'll even see the light of day, but over these last 12 weeks with The Artist's Way, I realized that really none of that matters. The purpose of an artist is to create art, and when an artist isn't creating art, well, it's like there's a piece of us missing. And I have to admit, it feels pretty good sitting behind the keyboard, typing out words, creating a story again. And if perhaps I'm able to write a story that is worthy of your time and I can find a publisher who's willing to put it out there, then perhaps you'll get a chance to read it someday. But either way, it feels pretty good to be back. And if you're a writer or a painter or an actor or a comedian or any kind of an artist, I hope you create like crazy in 2023. So until the next video, keep creating.